Right then, it's Stephen Howson. This is Full Time Devils. I'm joined by these motley crew, and we're here to talk about Manchester United versus Leicester City in the Premier League. And the first topic on the agenda that we need to talk about is Marcus Rashford. What an absolute star this guy's becoming. What he is achieving in every single start that he makes in a new format, in a new competition, for a new team, he just absolutely blows it away. Dave, I am coming to you first. Tell me how good Marcus Rashford is.
It's pretty good, I'd have to say. What I like.
Okay, Gaz. Go on, Dave. Carry on.
No, obviously he's a very, very simple footballer, and that's what I like about him. That he keeps the game so simple. You saw the assist. He slowed the play down. He waited for the Northampton defence to move, and then played a backward pass to Ander Herrera. So simple but so effective. You know, his goal, work, pressure, determination, and that type of thing is you can't teach that. You've just got to have that ingrained in yourself. You know, a complete flip to Memphis Depay that against Northampton again was trying too much, too many step-overs, too many flicks. Simplify your game and potentially might progress. But Rashford on debut scored 2 in the Europa League, 2 in the Premier League, 1 in the Manchester Derby, 1 for England, a hat-trick for England under the 21s, and 1 in the EFL Cup. There's not much more that we can say about Marcus Rashford, apart from he scored more goals than any other United player in all competitions since making his debut.
Well, yeah, that's a stat, isn't it? Gaz, how good's Marcus Rashford?
He's looking mint, mate. And the thing with him as well is it just seems to be instinct. Every single thing that he does is just pure instinct. He knows what he's going to do before he gets it. He's just got one idea every time he gets the ball, and it's to put it in the back of the net. His positioning, all things like that, is pure pace. Like Dave says, the pressure he put on the goalkeeper in the Northampton game, it's just, that's all he's about. He's just an out-and-out goal scorer, and he's the type of player that you need in your team. And it's scary to think, when you're looking at how good he is now, it's scary to think how good he can be if he carries on this way. And it doesn't seem like there's any way of it stopping at the minute. But yeah, he's a sure starter for me. And when I say that, he's all about scoring goals and that's his main thing, I still think he can do a job in other positions on the pitch as well. I think you can play him on either wing, and I think he can cause issues for any opposition defence. I mean, imagine being a fullback and seeing him running at you, or being a fullback on the other side and then seeing Tony Marshall running at you, or a centre-half and seeing Marcus Rashford running at you. He's a player that I think that we can utilise in so many different ways, and I think he's going to become a phenomenal player over the next few years, and I can't wait.
His directness is clearly one of his biggest attributes, and we saw in the goal against Northampton where he just refused it. That was probably a 70-30 ball in favour of the goalkeeper, but Marcus Rashford just goes, yeah, guess what, I'm having that. Matt, do you see any potential improvements for him in his game, and do you think he's becoming a starter now at 18 years of age? Do you think he's forced his way into this 11?
I think he's definitely a starter. I mean, you've got to play your players who are playing well and are confident, and Marcus Rashford has got all of that in abundance at the moment, and so I think the sky's the limit is there for him to just exceed, really, because he's just playing fantastic. I think there's always areas that he could improve on, but could I identify them at the moment? Probably not. But I think just every time I think, he's probably just going to have a slightly quieter game, he then goes and scores a goal, or he goes and pulls off a pass like he did for Herrera. And it's just those little moments of where he's almost a good 5 years ahead of his actual age. With some of the decision making and some of the things that he's pulling off on the pitch, that's what's impressing me the most.
We'll see how he develops physically as well soon.
Yeah.
If he gets any bigger without losing his pace, that'd be interesting.
Well, he's a big lad already. I think he's about 6'1" already. He's a tall lad. If he fills out, he's going to be a nightmare for defences. I'm going to come straight back to you on this one, Matt. Give us your starting 11 then for Leicester. How are you going?
I'm going to go 4-3-3. I'm going to have De Gea in goal. I'm going to have Valencia right back. I'm going to have Bailly and Smalling as the centre backs. And I don't want Marcus Rojo, playing left back, because I just have nightmares about the idea of him playing against Mahrez. So I'd rather see Daley Blind play left back if Luke Shaw isn't fit. I then want to see Michael Carrick sitting just at the base of a midfield three with Herrera and Pogba just ahead of him, and then Marshall and Rashford on the wings either side of Zlatan.
Don't know if Marshall's going to be fit. Don't know if that knock on the head means he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. I think everyone's going to go for that midfield three that you've just said, though, I imagine. Do you not worry about Daley Blind as a left back up against Mahrez in terms of the biggest attribute Mahrez has got is the biggest weakness that Daley Blind's got in terms of pace?
I do and I don't. I think I'd rather see Daley Blind play just because the consistency that he's had over the course of the season so far just is a bit more appealing than the way Marcus Rojo's been playing. I just don't fancy Marcus Rojo playing against Mahrez. I'd rather take the risk and play Blind to try and just be clever on the ball, which he usually is, which will then make up for the fact that he doesn't have the pace that Mahrez has.
I don't think many are going to disagree with that. Gaz, what's your 11?
I think Luke Shaw's going to be okay. I mean, I don't have any knowledge on that. I'm just saying that he was 50-50 when he for the Northampton game, he said. So I feel like he might be okay for this weekend, possibly. So I think the only change I've made from Matt's team there is Luke Shaw. The back four, Shaw, Smalling, Bailey, Valencia, obviously De Gea in goal. The midfield three, as you'd expect, Carrick, Holding, Herrera, Pogba in front of him, Marshall on the left, Rashford on the right, Ibra up top. Like you say about Marshall potentially being hurt, if that's true and he can't play the game, then I'd like to see Rashford put on the left with someone like Jesse Lingard on the right for his pace.
Yeah, I like that, Gaz. Squawker Dave, give me some nonsense.
Well, I want to be stupid and I want to go with a 3-5-2, but I don't think Mourinho's ever going to do that. I feel that it suits the squad playing a 3-5-2. If we just slow it down, our wing players haven't been too great this season. I'd love to see Zlatan and Rashford up front as a two instead of one being wide and one being through the middle. But anyway, that's not going to happen. Mourinho isn't a fan of that system. So I think the 4-3-3 is what's going to be played. I think, De Gea in goal, Valencia at right back, Blind at left back's got to be in there. United struggle with their build-up without Carrick and without Blind in the side. And I feel having both in there gives them so much more elements of their passing game. And again, that'll force Paul Pogba to get further up the pitch because players can find him in those dangerous areas. So Blind at left back, Bay and Smalling at centre-back. Those two need to slow themselves down a little bit too rash in the game of the Premier League last weekend. So I think they need to just be a little bit more composed on the ball, without the ball, defend together. That's a big thing for that back four. Then into midfield, I think Michael Carrick's got a hole. And then Paul Pogba, left central midfielder. The right central midfielder is up in the air for me, whether it is Marouane Fellaini, who has impressed this season under Jose Mourinho, or Ander Herrera, who's been very good in the last two games. I quite like to give it to Herrera just because he looks like he's in form, keep that form going. And then a front three, Anthony Martial looks like he's out injured, so I'd go Rashford on the left-hand side, Zlatan through the middle, and then Jess Lingard on the right. I'd like that to work in terms of Rashford not defending. I'd like to lead him up the pitch with Zlatan, so it sort of looks like a front two, but out on that left wing with Zlatan being the focal and then Rashford running off him, with Jess Lingard just doing all the running in the world because we know he can do that. And that is my side.
I like it. I think we said at the start of the season that whatever this system and the team is at the start of the season, it's going to evolve. And I think half a dozen games in, we are already starting to see the evolution as Jose starts to find his best team and the best system. All right, it's time for Fan Duel. This is our weekly chance to play fantasy football and win some money doing it. This week, we're going big and entering the fan favourite league, and that's got a chance for you to win a share of up to £6,000. It's £5 to enter, and if you use the promo code DEVILS, you'll get your money refunded if you finish outside of the paying places. If you're over 18 in the UK, get entering now and see if you can finish above us. Me and McCall are in there. We're going head to head. I obviously smash him every single week. See where you come. And in a mixer between me, McCall, and Devils, get in there. This is the full-time Devils starting 11. We've gone for David De Gea in there because we think he guarantees pretty much a clean sheet as often as possible, despite that not really being true. Davies and Collins are in there because they always get absolutely loads of points because of the way their teams play. Brad Smith's a little bit of a filler in. We've gone for Ibrahimovic and Rashford up front. Rashford's in ahead of Rooney because we think he's probably going to play and probably going to score. Stuan is a little bit of a filler. The midfield, we've gone for goals, and we hope Pogba is going to be in the middle of all that for more than fantasy reasons. And we've got Antonio, we've got Dele Alli, we've got Moses. We think that there's goals in this team. We think that there's points in this team. See how you do. See if you can finish above this lot. The best midfield setup that we've got at the moment. We've seen a couple of iterations of it. We've seen a midfield 2. It now is looking like he's moving towards that midfield 3. We saw Carrick's controlling against Northampton, looking brilliant on the ball, bringing that control, calm nature, ability to dictate the game, and Herrera's energy and obviously goal-scoring threat. Do you think that's the best midfield partnership or trio that we can have when you include Paul Pogba? Is that the best system to get the best out of our team?
I think it's one of. I mean, I think that midfield, Carrick, Herrera, Pogba, I think it's a midfield that has everything, doesn't it? It's a midfield that's able to pick a pass out of nowhere and calm on the ball. In Michael Carrick, it's a midfield that's able to drive forward with a bit of flair and and really just take the game to the opposition a little bit, and Ander Herrera. And then Paul Pogba, we know exactly what he can do, which is both of those two things, but he's also got the physicality of his game as well, the ability to ping one in from distance. I think it's a midfield three that has everything, and even if Michael Carrick can't be playing every game, then you've got the likes of Morgan Schneiderlin to step in. Or, in my opinion, what would be better is when we need that, I think we do need that composed central midfielder in every single game that we play. Obviously, Carrick can't play every game, but for me, I'd like to see Daley Blind move there when Michael Carrick's not fit as well, to play as that holding midfielder. But I think that if Jose sticks with that, which I think by the end of October maybe, when he's really sussed out what his best team is, then I think that going forward, that's probably what he's going to get used to.
So, Matt, what do you reckon? Daley Blind, natural successor to someone like Michael Carrick? Because, as good as he looks at the moment, Michael Carrick isn't going to be around forever, is he?
Yeah, I think with Daley Blind, I think he's got that composure and the footballing brain on his shoulders that I think that he would be a good successor to Carrick. I think that he would allow then the more creative attacking players like Pogba and Herrera to go forward and still have that reassurance behind them, as long with like a defensive Smalling and Bailly behind him as well. There's Schneiderlin. I thought he played well against Northampton, and so there's always him as an option. And so I think in terms of a midfielder that can just sit behind the more attacking players that we've got, I think that we've got a good amount of options there at the moment.
Dave, what do you reckon? We've also got Fellaini, which no one's mentioned, who has had a decent start to the season, but do you think there's a start in place for him long term, or do you think that we are going to move to a more ball-playing system? Because obviously someone like Blinder's got a phenomenal range of passing, hasn't he?
For me, it's got to be for this season, especially with Michael Carrick still being 35, 36. He's got to play every game for me. I don't care his age. He looks like he can play that position, and if he can slow the game down and play it at his own tempo, that's absolutely fine. I'd have Pogba, Carrick starting every single week in my midfield in terms of Carrick at a base of a three, Pogba on the left-hand side, and then I'd rotate that other right central midfielder. If you need to break a deep opposition, play Ander Herrera. If you need to battle someone and throw through cheeky elbows, get Marouane Fellaini in there. I think that's the beauty of Jose Mourinho and the beauty of Manchester United this season, is we do actually have a few options in midfield that we haven't had for the last 5 to 6 years, where we've been throwing the likes of Tom Cleverley in there and Anderson, who was obviously great players for Manchester United, but weren't quite up to cutting the mustard. So I feel that it's a good blend of players, but definitely Carrick has to start. He's got to start. It's just it's so important for him to be in this side. Most touches on the ball, most forward passes, most passes. It's just everything. He just has to be in there in terms of finding Paul Pogba in dangerous areas where Pogba can excel. And I think that's the big thing, how to get Paul Pogba into the final third with the ball at his feet. That's simple as that.
All right, let's move on to the opposition and champions. Leicester, I'm not going to get used to saying that, I don't think. I'm going to come straight back to you on this one, Dave. Champions Leicester, tell us about them. Where's the dangers, and can we overturn them at Old Trafford?
I think at the start of the season, they were very, very poor. They didn't look like Leicester City of last season, where they were very compact, sat in a 4-4-2 and counter-attacked. They were too open. They had too many attackers on the pitch. Mahrez, Vardy, Musa. The blend was wrong. But bringing Mark Albrighton back into this side has kind of given them that the system again, the 4-4-2, the defensive side of it. So Albrighton, although that he's not the best player in the world, does his job very well. He's very simple in possession, plays very direct crosses or passes, and then works very hard off the ball. But in terms of players that are coming out this season, Vardy has looked a little bit off, missed a number of pretty big chances. Soleimani coming in from Sporting Lisbon, a big physical target man. So I do think that this defence of Smalling and Bailly is probably the best to deal with him. Very good in the air, very good with the ball at his feet. So he could be an option there that we've got to watch him a lot. And obviously Mahrez, everyone knows about him coming in from that right-hand side.
Matt, Leicester, how do we beat them?
Play well. No, I think with Leicester, it depends on what Leicester you're going to get. Are you going to get the one that got absolutely demolished by Liverpool and got beat by Hull, or are you going to get the one that looked pretty confident against Bruges in the Champions League? It's hard to say. I think, again, Mahrez is a big threat. Vardy, I know he's not been on form, but is still a threat as well. And I think Morgan, in the box, if they've got a set piece like a corner or a free kick, he's always dangerous as well. But I think really we've got enough in our team that we should be able to beat Leicester.
Gaz, tell me something I don't know about Leicester.
I can't tell you anything you don't know, because I feel like everyone knows everything that they need to know about Leicester at the minute. We know that they leg it. They bloody leg it, and that's what they're going to do against us. They're going to run towards us every time we got the ball. They're not going to give us too much time on the ball. But with that midfield, if they go in with that midfield three, which I honestly think they're going to, Carrick, Herrera, Pogba, we should be able to deal with it. And then when space opens up on the wings, we need to be better than we were in the City game, because every time we got it, we tried to play it out to the wings, and then our two wingers who had really, really, really poor games that day, Mkhitaryan and Lingard, the ball was just bouncing off them. It was bouncing out of play. Whenever they got it and turned, he'd run straight into a man. This is where we need our wingers to be a lot better. That's why I'm hoping for two different wingers in Martial and Rashford. And even if Lingard gets a game, hopefully he's just going to be a lot better than what he was on the City game. But yeah, we saw Rashford as well when he came on against City. He instantly looked better in that position. And I think it would have been a completely different game had we started him from the beginning. So start Rashford here, get the wingers playing well. Those three midfielders should be able to deal with Leicester's pressing game. And I think we should be okay.
Give us your prediction then, Gaz.
We've not even thought about it. I'll say 3-1.
Goals. Matt, give us your prediction.
I'm going to say 2-0 to United.
Dave, what do you reckon?
2-1 to United. Paul Pogba winner. 80th minute.
Oh,
I'm going to say 1-0, mate. I think it's going to be a bit of a slugfest, and I think it's going to be tight. But I'm going to say 1-0, and I'm going to wrap it up there. So thank you for joining us. Make sure you go and give these lads a follow on the old Twitter machine. Subscribe if you haven't already. Get your starting 11, your predictions, and all that sort of stuff in the comments below, and we'll see you soon. Laters.